the sunniest of afternoons to you. This is a first batch of new parts of many future batches. They're essential to make this engine work. Let's see. Engine oil, the cheapest oil, but it works great in my experience. 1 liter of brake fluid, transmission oil. We need a lot of it because it's a 4x4 car. The cheapest oil again, but we will change it after the braking period. The box says fragile. Let's see. I can even remember what I ordered here. It's a pleasure to spend money, you know. Wow, a hand wash and paste. It works great and has a lemon scent and flavor. No, only scent. Thread locker, spark plugs. Somebody opened the packaging for some reason. They're not bad and not the best. They're okay. Voltage regulator. The old one is too old and looks like a big copper transformer. Everything that could be needed for the electronic ignition system. An ignition coil, wires, hall sensor. The old contact system is too old as well. Look, these are rubber brake lines and some adapters for them. The brakes will be updated to the state that this car hasn't seen before. Piston rings. I've been seeking such a kit with 3-piece oil rings for 79mm pistons, but I have to buy these standard rings again. Look at this wolf on the box. I don't even remember what this is. Oh, these are braking pads for the future brakes. Additional brake line just in case. A new master brake cylinder. What a beautiful piece of engineering. If we are lucky, we won't use a vacuum booster and this cylinder will be sufficient for our small car. But where is the cap? Why didn't they put the cap for it? I was supposed to buy this cap separately. Even if we are overhauling such an old V4 engine, it doesn't mean we can neglect the balancing process, or else it won't run fast and smoothly enough. Even in this old car, it will break on the first pothole if the pistons aren't equalized in weight. Okay, let's check. 386, 384, 386, 382. We need to match them to the lightest piston. So this one will serve us as an example. It is worth mentioning that this scale has a graduation of 2 grams, but it will be sufficient for our task. The connecting rods. 720, 720, that's good, 722, okay, and 730, that's a lot. Okay, let's make them equal by grinding those balance parts. I clamped a drill in a vise and started to grind off the excess metal from the pistons. Here they are. This is how much material needed to be removed from this piston. This one was the lightest and this one ended up looking like this. Equal piston weights are really important and I think this should have been done at the factory. But no, you have to grab a metal file and work on it. The oil pump looks good, but I noticed a big height difference between the gears and the edge of the housing, although there is nowhere on the lead, so I need to grind the housing a little to match its height. I do it like this. I'm using this new grinding stone. It always helps me to make surfaces straight and even. I think the most enjoyable work is to put the pistons and rods together. Just a reminder that I use 79 pistons instead of 76 from the factory. It's interesting that this set was produced, I think, in the 80s. Somebody had been keeping them somewhere in his garage. Then he decided to put them on a marketplace and I found them in the 21st century. It's part of history now. Did I mention that I don't like one-piece oil rings? Anyway, we need cleanliness to assemble these, the most important part of the engine, and a lot of oil as well. It's good if the oil is not used. That would be perfect. Also, I like to unpack these old parts that were produced before I saw this world. It smells like an old factory. These bearings, they deserve to be posted on Instagram. This is a new part and I don't want to even touch it by hand, nor to use them in this engine. Oh, I'm too sentimental when it comes to old new parts. When I was cleaning the engine, I put small plugs everywhere so no debris could come into the delicate channels of the engine. Even if I work in a quite messy garage, everything should be as clean as possible. This gasket we need to reinforce with the gasket maker. A very thin layer should be applied from both sides, because I don't trust the flatness of mating surfaces in this old engine. It needs a thin layer, not like we usually do. We don't need this RTV to be squeezed out. The heads also need to be treated. Somewhere here an intake valve was leaking. I need to find which one. Not with kerosene, but regular water. Here it is. It doesn't look like the head is toast or valves are bad. It's because everything was left open. The carburetor was open, some valves were half open, so time does its job. Junk from nature has been collecting there. There is no severe wear on the valve. The bushing is okay. The gap is on the bigger side, but it's still usable. The chamfer is okay, but look at this grime, it's terrible. It's good that we decided to overhaul it after all those years it has spent in the backyard. If we are lucky, then they don't require rebuilding. And here is the cause of the leakage. The carbon buildup got between the seat and the valve. Yeah, the chamfer is great, not squashed out. Oh my god, what is it? Is this a side product of an unknown form of diarrhea? What was happening here? Look at this, it couldn't have breathed if we had put the engine together without the proper disassembly. That's crazy. Those who know us know that we have a special relationship with lubrication systems on old engines. We work with it not like others do. Considering this engine isn't young anymore, bigger gaps and clearances, and it has such a problem like overheating, air-cooled engines are very fragile. So we want to make this engine as cool as possible. It's an experiment. We want to route oil intake through a cooler. The way it's done from the factory is pointless. What do you think about this? Yes, I can prove it. I had a car with a similar engine and the stock oil radiator didn't work. Yes, it's pointless because the stock radiator is at the end of the oil system and there is almost no oil in this place. Additionally, it lowers oil pressure because this radiator opens the oil contour. Always gets clogged with dirt. Having experience from our custom bike with a V4 engine, we want to route cooled oil before the oil pump. The scheme looks like this. We remove the oil intake from its place, two threaded fittings are embedded here, input and output, so we can do whatever we want with the oil. We can filter it, we can cool it down before the oil pump. So if we put an oil filter here, then we will get an oil pump that works with beautifully clean oil. Such a nice perk. It won't work in oil that is contaminated with metal shavings, and cooled oil will go to the heat-stressed parts such as pistons, cylinder heads. This system was tested through the last 3 years on our different motorcycles and it worked very well. Somebody could say this affects the oil pressure, but in practice it makes it slightly higher because of cooled down and heavier oil. it goes together like this. Only one oil-resistant hose stays inside. From the outside it looks like this. We have these two fittings and we can do with them whatever we want, even to put a small hose to loop it if we don't like something. It opens up to a wide variety of experiments. The final assembly happens here. It's always interesting. You always think about how much you slip up during the assembly and what you will need to disassemble to stop an unforeseen oil leak in the future. Okay, let's lube up the lifters. We remember that one with the groove goes first from the side where the centrifuge is. Holy crap, I hate these moments. As you remember, we shortened the cylinder heads to increase compression ratio and these pushrod covers were shortened as well. Now I need to remove all the temporary plugs. Everything has been shortened by 3 mm and the springs have been cut by 1 coil. Gasket kit, old as the hills. This cylinder rubber needs to be shortened as well, because otherwise it will be smashed. And this is my least favorite part of assembly of such engines. You need to somehow hold all these springs and rubber rings, so I'm temporarily adding electrical tape here, so these springs can hold there during installation, just making these pushrod covers thicker. Then I make sure that cylinders and pistons are perfectly clean, not a single dust particle is sitting there. It needs to be sterilium, 100% sterilium. Adding these rubber seals here, copper gaskets, these ones are used in old motorcycles. Well, clean hands, pure intentions. It's important that everything gets to its place at the same time, and I'm keeping an eye on it, so nothing unwanted gets in. It's looking good. Let's keep going. By the way, the push rods have been unpressed, shortened and pressed back. It's easy to do this by heating these hardened tips with a gas torch. After you heat them, they become bigger and come off with no effort. It's also important to clean them thoroughly before the reassembly because, believe me, there is a lot of oil dirt and vanished oil. An interesting fact, these engines are not very forgiving. For example, if you want to increase compression ratio on any inline or head cam engine, it's so easy to do. Just mill the cylinder head or block and that's it. Just put them together with closed eyes and one hand and you are good to go. But such air-cooled engines are very picky. To make a small modification you need to do so many side millings, cuttings, grindings and drillings, and everything should be as straight as possible. That's why almost nobody overhauls these engines for someone else, even for a good amount of money. So these old engines get repaired by regular people in their garage, and even if you did everything perfectly, there is a big chance of something going wrong in 100 kilometers. We are not putting too much hope into this engine, but it's interesting to see if it works well or not. Let's keep going. Oh, I could build fresh engines for the rest of my life. Plugs from old rags mean the world to us, because if anything gets in there, it's going to be a major headache. What a dirty distributor! It needs to be cleaned. Almost everything you see here needs to be tossed out, and it will be modified with a Hall sensor to be more reliable. I can figure out where these came from. Anyway, it's nice and clean, so it will help me to show you the intermediate result. These parts are needed for the modification. And look at that, it's as clean as new. How could oil get so high to make these distributors so dirty? Well, the most important work is done. We have a precisely made shutter wheel which spins in the Hall sensor and gives a noise signal precisely every 90 degrees. Before we finish the engine, let's listen to how his smaller brother sounds. This is also a car engine, but it has smaller displacement volume and it's much older. Knock it out of the park! I need to mention what a quiet engine this is, and it's from the 1960s. Okay, everything is ready for the first start. There are almost no exhaust manifolds, just some random pipes. And I don't know what this carburetor is going to give us, I'm not sure about it. Also, I don't trust these ignition wires, I just threw in what I had at hand, and they're not the best ones. Holy cow, I got the first ignition explosion right in my face. Something is wrong. I need to figure it out. It starts to build the oil pressure, but of course it's cold. It gives a couple of ignitions and that's it. Okay, let's try to swap the carburetor and the distributor. Well, I did as I said. We borrowed the distributor and carburetor from our motorcycle and we are sure they are not faulty. Now we will understand if something was wrong with these previous ones. No, it seems like it needs more fuel now. Only if I slap its intake, it sucks more fuel and tries to work. I was sure the first start should go smoother than it is. I have to resurrect this old guy, though I didn't want it. What an interesting story. A few days ago I started a stream and we were taking apart and cleaning this carburetor with guys, but suddenly I accidentally found that this float is filled with gas. What a surprise! Okay, this K133 has been rebuilt, let's see what we can get out of it. If this one won't give us a good result, then I need to check the intake for vacuum leak. Okay, I get it. There is a vacuum leak somewhere. I'm going to check. God knows which starting attempt this is. I removed this old leaky K133. I hate it. I put back the first one. It looked to me like it works better. Also, I resealed all the intake gaskets and now hopefully something should happen. It's going, it's going. Oh, 4 bars of oil pressure. After it gets working temperature and cools down, it's necessary to check the bolt's torque. Holy smokes, it should have done this already this morning. I should have done all of this already this morning. It took us a while to figure each other out. It has 4 bars of oil pressure, okay. Throttle reaction is fine. Valve rockers are almost silent, but the exhaust is quite loud, though it has its own character. But once you push the throttle, it roars quite loud. I have to admit that the first run was almost failed. There are a few flaws and bugs. The oil is leaking under the left valve cover. The flywheel is throwing oil drops a little, but it should be dry there. Everything has been checked twice. Of course, the centrifugal filter throws oil as well. Besides that, everything looks fine. The battery took all the oil splashes. Oh, and this oil pressure sensor is leaking. Why did you do this? By touch, the oil feels like it's around 40-50 degrees. The smaller 30 horse engine which we have in our motorcycle is much cooler. This 40 horse is much hotter. A few minutes of running without the cooling impeller and its heads are almost red. But I think it's because it's not tuned to perfection yet, and we need to give it some time to break in. Well, in the next episode we will start to work on transmission. There is a lot of work ahead, but we keep going. That's how the piston turns.